Manufactured gemstones are usually designed to imitate natural gemstones like rubies and diamonds. But these are made from heather, a hardy flowering plant which is traditionally associated with Scotland. For centuries, the Scots used heather to thatch roofs, stuff mattresses and even brew beer, and no doubt they tried to deep fry it as well. This Scottish company turns heather into gemstone material to make jewellery. Heather gems, as they're called, have vein-like patterns created by the plant's stems. Therefore, no two gems can be identical. When the heather arrives at the factory, its green foliage still clings to the top of the stems. After cutting the plants into 25-centimetre lengths, workers load them into a sandblasting machine. The drum rotates for about half an hour, while tiny iron pellets blast the heather inside. The pellets chip away the bark and remove the foliage. The heather comes out of the machine as dry, delicate wood. "700-gram bundles are placed in a vacuum dye chamber for 2 days. First, the vacuum draws out the air in the stems to clear the way for the dye to penetrate. Next, again under vacuum pressure, the stems slowly absorb the dye. This method is far more effective than dipping or soaking the stems because the colour penetrates deeply into the heatherwood, rather than sitting on the surface. They open the bundles and make new ones of the same weight, this time combining colours. It's important to combine thicker stems with thinner ones to create contrasting lines in the gem pattern. Next, they soak each bundle in epoxy resin for 2 or 3 minutes, ensuring the stems are saturated. Then they place the bundles on racks to allow the excess resin to drain off. They load 4 bundles between the top and bottom halves of a mould. The mould is slowly closed by a press, which applies 80 tons of pressure for about a minute. The closed mould is clamped and removed from the press. It's then placed in an oven for an hour to cure the resin. They open the mould and remove what is now a rock-hard resin-bonded block of heatherwood. They trim off the rough edges with a bandsaw. Then they cut slices that are 10 to 12 millimeters thick, depending on the gem they'll be making. After gluing each slice onto a plastic backing, a robotic cutting machine cuts the gem shapes. Then workers simply pop the gems off the plastic backing. This shape is called a cabochon. The finishing team smooths and polishes each gem on a belt sander, then applies 4 or 5 coats of clear lacquer. Lacquering draws out the colours while sealing and protecting the wood. Finally, they glue each gem onto its surround. Sometimes they use a single colour to dye the heather. This can produce a striking gem because the dye penetrates the wood with different intensities, creating contrasting shades. The signature feature is the unique veining produced by the heather encased within. They try to make each gem reflect the natural beauty of the Scottish Highlands, except without the cold, rain and midges.